Hi everyone, Allie Janes here, and it's time for questions. Now, I'd already filmed all the answers to the questions before I realized how long this video was gonna be, so I've split it into two parts. This is part 1, and I will post part 2 on Friday. Now on to the questions. Questions with Allie. So many questions. You guys sent me some fabulous questions, so without further ado, let's get started. The first question is from Silver Caver, who wants to know, how did you come up with the name Maltese bluebird? What does it mean? It's a reference to the 1941 film noir movie Maltese Falcon. I'm a big fan of both the 1940s and film noir, and Maltese refers to the more classic, glamorous, and mysterious side of my personality. I changed the bird from a falcon to a bluebird in order to reflect my lighthearted side. The next two questions are from Little Oblivious. First up, who's the most famous person you've ever met? Well, I haven't actually met a lot of famous people yet. They don't exactly hobnob with us beginner actors. But probably the coolest famous person I've met so far is Ted Raimi, the actor from the Evil Dead movies and the Spiderman movies and a billion other movies. He's a cool dude. And I will definitely keep you guys posted as I meet other famous people. Second question from Little Oblivious. What is the toughest role you've ever played? The most challenging role so far has been Nurse Linda in the Deep End film. Though it's just a short film, it was a really intense role and dealt with a very challenging subject, electroshock therapy, as it was practiced in the middle of the 20th century. It was a really tough challenge to make the nurse a whole person and not just a stereotype. Question from Vinnie Van Gogh 1. Have you ever been to Canada? If you haven't, do you plan to visit? I have been to Canada. I'm originally from northern New Hampshire, which is only about an hour from the Canadian border. So I've spent a long weekend in Quebec and a couple days in Montreal. In addition, I'll be joining Vox Lumiere for another performance of The Phantom of the Opera on March 12th in Alberta, Canada. Another question from Vinnie Van Gogh 1. Since you're a great singer, thank you, would you ever like to do Broadway? Absolutely. I love Broadway and try to see shows whenever I'm in New York. Total Broadway musical nerd. I've done a couple musicals in Chicago, including Sweeney Todd and Candide, but it would be a blast to perform shows like that in the city that never sleeps. Question from Hey Now Hannah. Besides singing and acting, do you have any hidden talents? Well, I can fake pretty well that I'm a dancer. I've only taken a couple random classes here and there, but I can fake it well enough so that the general public thinks I'm a really good dancer, and even some people in the know assume that I've at least had some training. So that's kind of fun. Other than that, I can roll my tongue and touch my tongue to my nose. And I can do pretty good pin-up 1940s hairdos. YouTuber GJ Hurd wants to know if I'm married. Well, there is somebody pretty special in my life. Let me go get him. Some of you have met him before, but this is Maxwell. Mwah, 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 mwah. He loves me so much. Schmo Nerd asks, what's the most awkward interview you've ever had? Well, it's not the interviewer's fault, but I'm almost always awkward in interviews. I like to think about the interview questions ahead of time so I can craft an intelligent response, but if I don't have that opportunity, then I'm pretty much always going to be awkward. Evan asks, why do you have a fireplace when it's 60 degrees in December? Well, Evan, sometimes it gets down to 40 and 50 degrees at nighttime, which is freezing cold. I have the fireplace because it came with the apartment. However, I did not complain about its inclusion because I am a giant wuss. I like being warm all the time, and when it gets down below 60 at night, that fireplace is on. Alright, well I need to stop the video now, but I hope you enjoyed part 1 of the first edition of Questions with Allie. Thanks for taking the time to ask me your questions. Now I have a question for you. I want to know something about you. Tell me a random fact about yourself, a weird skill, a unique experience you've had, or something that most people don't know about you. Leave a comment or video response below. Later, lovelies. Do you or someone you know have an original song, as in homemade, as in made from scratch, that you'd like me to sing? Contact me here and we'll see if your song is a good fit. I baked cookies this week for some of my friends and family. While I hate to cook, I love to bake because baking equals dessert, and that is so totally worth it.